There was a lot of good and a lot of bad in Saturday night's 19-14 win as the Bengals handled business in Tampa Bay over the Buccaneers. Hi again, everyone. I'm James Rapien with allbengals.com in Cincinnati Bengals talk. And ready or not, football is here. Look, there was a lot of good. So let's start with the good. Let's be positive here. Not only did the Bengals get a win, but to me, the first teamers looked pretty darn good. And let's start with the defense because they bring down Tom Brady on the first drive of the game. And the secondary looked pretty good. And overall, I thought pass rush wise, the rotations, that was something that I was going to look at, keep an eye on. And the fact that we saw Trey Hendrickson, Sam Hubbard, and Joseph Ossai on the field at the same time, that's pretty cool because I think you can get some heat on opposing quarterbacks when you do that. And obviously that was the case. Cam Sample, the other defensive lineman, I think that's going to be Larry Ogunjobi, by the way, when the season actually starts. We'll see. But I like that lineup because I think you have a nice blend of athleticism and youth along with experience in Hubbard and Hendrickson. And obviously it paid off on that drive. Now, the elephant in the room is Osai's wrist. We're not sure how good, or how significant that injury is at this stage. We'll keep you posted. Hopefully it's not, right? Hopefully you're not talking about a break. Hopefully it's just a sprain or a strain, or it was just dinged up and they said, let's yank him and get him some x-rays. He's going to be reevaluated on Sunday. We should know more on Monday, which obviously I'll be at training camp covering the Bengals there. But yeah, overall, I thought the first team defense looked good. On the flip side, the offense, it was looking exactly how you'd expect this offense to look. Like there's high expectations for the Bengals offense this year. And I get it. Brandon Allen was at quarterback. It wasn't Joe Burrow, but I still wanted to see a little something, right? And we're going to get to the offensive line in a minute. But the fact that Allen was able to find Tyler Boyd on third down, a crucial third down to extend the drive, that's exactly what Burrow would do, right? Lean on 83 on, I think it was 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 7 for 15 yards up the middle. Really good throw. And then the screen game with Ja'Marr Chase. That's part of the offense that we don't really talk about a lot at camp. Ja'Marr Chase is going to get touches, even if they aren't downfield, and they didn't even try to push the ball downfield on Saturday night. But Chase is going to get screens. He's going to get slants. He's going to get some quick hitters because he's tough to tackle, because he's fast, because he's physical. And he was upset that he only got 16 yards on that screen play. Really nice block by Jonah Williams out there in the open space. And those are the type of plays that you don't see much of in camp, right, in the 11-on-11 periods when we're saying, oh, the offense lost or the defense won or whatever the case is. But they can be really effective on game day. And not that they don't work on them, but they'll work on those in their own periods, in the offense period where they're just running on air and different things like that. So either way, they're walkthroughs, so to speak. So that was good to see, and then T. Higgins comes out the second possession and it gets a catch. So all three, the star receivers, get their catches. Obviously, the fumbles are concerning. Am I gonna press the panic button because Samaje Perine put the ball on the ground? No, it was kind of a weird play. Mike Thomas, I think he was just excited that he had the ball and he was running, and it jumps out of his arms there. So overall, I thought the first team offense did pretty well. And I thought Brandon Allen, besides the interception, played well. And that's encouraging because, again, the reason you bring back a guy like Brandon Allen is just in case you need someone to start a couple of games this year. And hopefully not. Hopefully Burrow plays all 17, right? But if you do, you can bank on him. And I think he showed that on Saturday night, which is extremely encouraging. Now, let's stick with the skill players, and then I'll get to the offensive line. Chris Evans, loved his game. I've talked a lot about him. You've seen highlights of him on Cincinnati Bengals Talk on YouTube. He's a beast, and I thought he flashed his potential. There wasn't many running lanes, and yet a 3rd-and-1 run stands out to me where he got 4 or 5 yards, made a really nice cut. During the broadcast, it was when Duke Tobin was in the booth, if you're watching the local broadcast with Anthony Munoz and Mike Watts. And it was just like, oh, that's 25, huh? And obviously he flashed in the passing game as well. So really liked what I saw from Chris Evans. Really liked what I saw from Jacquez Patrick. And that's the thing with this running back room. P. Ryan's a lock. Obviously Mixon's the star. I think Evans is going to make the team. He just does so much and he's versatile. But are they going to keep 4 running backs? Because Travion Williams didn't play due to a hamstring injury. Puka Williams, who's more of a receiver anyway, but I know a lot of people are fans of him, didn't play due to an injury. And so Patrick got a ton of run, and run did he do it. I mean, he was great, had 71 yards, 15 attempts, a long of 24 at the end of that fourth quarter there to really, it didn't seal it. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers got the ball back, but it almost essentially sealed it because it ran the clock down, and they were able to get a field goal to go up 19-14 late in the fourth quarter. All right, let's get to the trenches. The good, I think we know the tackle spots, right? Riley Reiff, Jonah Williams, they played the first drive. That's it. They're out of there. And that's pretty good. On the flip side, we don't know any of the other 3 spots. We assume it's going to be Trey Hopkins at center, but obviously he wasn't active on Saturday night as he continues to recover from an ACL. Billy Price was in there, and I thought he did some good things, but it wasn't, this type of performance where you're like, oh, Billy Price, he's crushing it, and he's going to win the starting center job. Heck, you'd love really for him to emerge as a guard, because the uncertainty at guard right now, even though it did seem like the Bengals were certain about left guard. Quentin Spain only played 6 snaps, and that was it. So that's the same as Jonah. That's the same as Riley Reiff. And so it seems like they're set on left guard. Right guard, whole nother story. Michael Jordan was the starter, played 13 snaps, 18% of the snaps, and then he was out. So a couple of drives for Michael Jordan. So doesn't get the Quentin Spain treatment, but it was clear that the Bengals wanted to see these young guys. Deontay Smith was in there for 40 snaps. Jackson Carman was in there for 40 snaps. Xavier Su'a-Filo was on the field for 25 snaps. And when I say snaps, I'm talking about offensive plays, not necessarily special teams. So they're evaluating these guys. And let's start with Carman, because all eyes on him. He was the 46th overall pick. He's the guy that the Bengals were really high on in the draft. I think he flashed in the run game, flashed on Chris Evans, a couple of his runs around the goal line. I thought he moved some people. He was able to get out and use his athleticism. At the same time, he got beat a significant amount in the passing game, and it led to quarterback hits. He gave up multiple quarterback hits, pressures, different things like that. Again, it's his first NFL game. There are going to be issues, but he wasn't going against starters. He wasn't going against, this rough and tough Tampa defensive front that we know about. And so that is a bit concerning. And on the reverse side of that, maybe Deontay Smith is the guy we thought Jackson Carman was going to be as a rookie. He got some snaps at guard, some snaps at tackle. I thought he looked pretty solid. And look, he's got certain physical traits. His arms, 35 and a half inches long, 85-inch wingspan, certain things that Carman doesn't have. So maybe that's helping him transition to life in the NFL. And the one thing that I know for sure is the fact that Zach Taylor and this coaching staff loves Smith's work ethic. So we'll see there. The battle in the trenches continues. But overall, I thought it was a pretty decent night. Now let's go to the defense, where I already mentioned Joseph Ossai, just amazing. I hope he's okay, because it was like, oh, man, he brings the energy. And that's what Zach Taylor used. It's just energy with number 58. And when you have that with Hendrickson and some of these other guys that they're going to have in the trenches, Hubbard, but let's name some guys I haven't yet, Ogunjobi, Mike Daniels, and you have an energy guy that's really young and athletic, that's really going to help you there. Linebackers wise, I didn't see a ton from the starters, I'll be honest with you, good or bad. So that's okay. That's acceptable. Giovanni Bernard, for example, is going to get open in the passing game for the Buccaneers. We know that. He had that 9-yard catch on the first drive. As far as the secondary goes, I thought they were okay. Now, the starting secondary was fine. Like I said, first team. After that, it's a bit shaky. I thought Darius Phillips had some nice plays and put his best foot forward there. But then it's kind of that battle for that 6th cornerback spot. And I don't know, is it Winston Rose, who was in on special teams some? Is it one of these other guys that's going to emerge? I don't know as I pull my roster here, and I'm just going to go down it. I mean, Jalen Davis flashed. Will Jalen Davis be a guy that gets a little bit more run earlier in the game as they continue to evaluate him? It was a weird sequence. And that's the thing, as good as it is to have preseason games to evaluate, some of these turnovers and things where it was the interception and then it's popped up and Mike Thomas grabs it. It's just weird. Weird stuff happens in these preseason games, specifically the first one. So I don't want to take away too much from it, but I would say this, that the backup safeties, I see why Ricardo Allen needs to be around, and hopefully he gets healthy and is able to get some reps in this preseason before backing up Jesse Bates and Von Bell. Brandon Wilson played 79 snaps, as did Cam Sample. So a lot of run for Wilson with Allen out, and a lot of run for Sample, a rookie who probably needs as much playing time as he can get as he gets acclimated from life in the AC, right? The American Athletic Conference in Tulane, and transitions to the NFL. So overall, I thought it was a successful debut. Let's end with the special teams units. And Darius Phillips, I thought, had a couple nice returns, listed as the starting punt returner. Trent Taylor did catch a couple punts, didn't have an explosive return or anything like that, but those appear to be the two battling for that spot. And what impacts it is Trenton Irwin. Trenton Irwin had a pretty good night. Will he, or Stanley Morgan, he had a couple catches as well. Will one of those guys unseat Trent Taylor for that sixth wide receiver spot? I think Taylor entered the night as the sixth wide receiver. I still think he probably is at this stage, but something to monitor, especially if Darius Phillips is successful as a returner. On the flip side, when it comes to the kicking game, that's something we entered the night just couldn't wait to see, right? Evan McPherson looks the part, doesn't he? Booms a 40-yarder, would have been good from 55 or 60. Booms a 31-yarder, was great. And the beauty of this, and I've mentioned this a lot on Locked On Bengals, the only daily Bengals podcast, which you should follow and subscribe to right here on YouTube. Austin Seibert is good enough to kick for one of these 32 teams. He's a good kicker. I covered him in Cleveland when he got drafted, and I get it. He was a little inconsistent, and there was pressure on Cleveland, so they just moved on from him last year. The Bengals might be able to get a draft pick for Seibert. He's kicked well in camp. He's kicked well. He was 2 for 2 on Saturday night. So if he continues to kick that way and they rotate him and McPherson, I don't think they're going to keep 2 kickers or anything like that. But one, they could stash him on the practice squad if they needed to, I believe. And 2, if not, there's going to be a team that's hungry for a kicker, ready for a kicker. If you can get a 6th or 7th round pick for him, sign me up for that. So you never know. That would be the dream scenario. Both guys just crush it in camp, and you can get a future asset for the guy that wasn't going to make the team anyway. For more, make sure you subscribe to Cincinnati Bengals Talk on YouTube. I have plenty up at allbengals.com, and we will have your training camp coverage all week long. That's your training camp coverage all week long. As always, I'm James Rapien. Thank you so much for watching.